Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to solve a very interesting SQL problem which you might get it in your interviews. Okay. So for this today we'll be using Namaste SQL website. That website contains a lot of really good questions which will help you in your interview preparation. So today question is about return orders customer feedback, right? So I'll just explain the question a bit before solving it. So you have a data for a e-commerce company which has observed notable surge in return orders recently, right? So the customer has frequently returned their orders. So they suspect that specific group of customers may be responsible for significant portion of these returns, right? To address the issue, the initial goal is to identify customers who have returned more than 50% of the orders. So for example, if a customer has placed 4 orders and it has returned, let's say 3 orders, so which is 75%. So we need to figure out those kind of customer. So this way they can proactively reach out to the customers to gather feedback, right? It's a very simple, but it's a very common problem scenario that has been faced by e-commerce or other companies. So the question is, write an SQL query to find list of customers along with the return percentage around to 2 decimal places. Display the output in ascending order of customer name. Okay. So we'll now solve the question. So you have two tables, orders and returns. I'll show you how the table looks like. So the order table, we have order ID, order date, customer name and sales. Okay. And for the returns, we have order ID and return date. So this return table contains only the return details. Okay. Now I'll show you how to approach this question. So we'll start with from, okay, orders, and I'll give alias shorthand as ORD, and then I will left join it. Okay. So why I'm left joining it with return? So if I inner join with return, it will only give me all the return orders, right? But we need return percentage. So we need total orders and return orders, right? So I'll left join returns and I'll give this alias as return and we'll join it on order ID, right? So order ID equal to return dot order ID. Okay. I'll now show you how the output for this will look like, right? Many of you might know the answer, but I'll show you how the output will look like if I just run this code and see how the output for this part is looking like. So we have order ID 1 for customer name Alexa, and that order has been returned. But let's say if the customer name is Alexa, she has placed 4 orders, but only 3 of the orders she has returned. For the order ID number 4, this is not returned. So you see null value over there, right? I hope you understood why we did left join. If you would have done join only, then it would have only given 3, this 1 2 3, and it would have ignored the 4th row. But we need the 4th row for the output. Okay, why need the 4th row? For the total order. So now I'll get the total order count and the return order count for each customer. So we'll write customer name. Customer name is present in the order table, so we'll give that alias ord dot customer name. So here I want to just mention one thing. If you don't write ord dot, also the output will be same, right? It will not throw an error. Why? Because in both tables, customer name is present only in the first table, right? But still, I'll request and I'll suggest you guys to use aliases as much as possible so that your code looks clean and there is less chance of error. Okay. So in all of the codes that we will solve, we will use alias as much as possible, right? Now we need count of order ID, right? So ord dot order ID, so as total orders. Here if you ignore ord dot, then it will throw an error for sure, right? Because order ID is present in both tables. Okay. Now for the return orders. Okay, so for the return orders we will be using case when statement. So if you guys are not comfortable with case when statement, please go through case when statement courses for any YouTube channel, or you can just Google it. It's a very simple statement to learn. I'll also try to use that case when. So count, we will count case when. So we need return orders, right? So return orders, for that we will use return ret dot order ID. I'll just copy paste because I have written. So case when return dot order ID is not null, right? Then ord dot order ID. Okay. Just understand what I have done. I have used case when return dot order ID is not null. So for example, for customer Alexa, the first output for this statement, total orders will be 4, right? Because we have 4 order. For the second, we need 1 2 3, right? 3 order has been returned. So case when return dot order ID is not null, so 1 2 3, then order ID, else null, because case when statement needs else, otherwise it throw an error, and end, right? As return orders. Okay, I hope until this part you guys are with me. Okay, and because we have used two aggregate function, we will be using a group by, right? So we are using MySQL. So MySQL, you can write the complete column name what you have mentioned in select, or you can write one, right? I'll just use this and I'll just show you how the output for this will look like. All right, so see, we have customer name, we have total orders, and if you remember Alexa, she has placed 4 orders and 3 has been returned, right? So this is the right thing. Now we'll come to the question, right? The question was to identify only those customers who have placed more than 50% of the return orders, right? And we have to round it to 2 decimal. So we can write that code here also, but we will use a with function. So with CTE, right? So why we are using with? Because it will make us write very clean code, and many of you who are not comfortable with what with does, with just makes it as a temporary table. So if I just do select star from CTE, with is a very simple command, right? So with table name as. So if I do run this part, see how the output will be, it's the same output, right? Now we'll write our final code. So we need customer name and we want return percentage, right? So return percentage is nothing but return order divided by total orders, and we will make it, I'll multiply it 100. Why I'm multiplying it 100? Because it will look like 50%, 60%, 70%. So for Alexa, it will look like 75%, right? So this is as return percentage, right? This is not the final code. I'll just run it to show you how the output will look like. We have to put another condition because we need only the customer who have placed more than 50%, right? And we have to round it to 2 decimal also as per the condition, right? So this is the return percent of all the customer. Now I'll round it up to 2 decimal. So that is a very simple command, round comma 2. Okay, see how the output will look like if we run this code. So I'll just run the code and it has rounded up to 2 values. Now for the final part, okay, I'll just extend it a bit. We will use a halving function, right? Halving return percentage greater than 50, right? We can write 50.0 because all this is returning a float value, so 50. Now the question is why we have used halving. We could have used where, right? Many of you might think no, if you use where, it will throw error. Why? Because where only puts filters on the value that is present in the table. Halving puts filter on the output of the select statement. Okay, that is the clear difference. So as we are putting filter on return percentage, we can't use where because where doesn't know what is return percentage. Where knows what is return order, what is total order, what is customer name. Only on this 3 column you can use where. Okay, I hope you understand that. Now if I just run this part, we got 3 customer. Still it is not the complete correct answer because you have to sort it by the customer name. So display the output in ascending order of the customer name, and you know it's a very simple function for this, order by 1, right? And ascending. So for ascending you have to write ASC. If you don't write ASC also, by default it picks ascending. Okay, so I'll just run this part. Now we got the output, right? Alexa Ankit Priya 75, 100 and 66. So we'll just test our query. Okay, I'll remove the table part. Okay, I'll run this code just to see what is the output. Okay, now I'll run the evaluation part. Okay, see, yes, our answer is correct. Okay, so I'll just revise the code. Okay, so we have used group by function along with count and case when statement to get the return orders, and we have used left join. Okay, so left join so that we get all the orders from the order table and the return orders from the return table. Okay, now we have used a CTE function here so that we can write our final query. We don't have to use this as a subquery or something. Okay, so I have used a with function. It's very handy and it's very easy to use because if you want to use CTE multiple times, you can just write it down, right? You don't have to put everything, all this block again and again in your code. Okay, so use with function as much as possible. That is a suggestion. And then we have used a round function and we have multiplied with 100 so that we get return percentage, and we have used halving function. Okay, the important part here is to write halving function, not where function. Okay, and we have ordered by it. Okay, I hope you got how to solve this question. This is a very frequently asked question in any of your SQL interviews. And finally, thank you for watching this video. Keep watching all the videos that I am posting on my channel. You will learn a lot about SQL, and we'll cover other difficult topics also. And please subscribe and support me.